Hey everyone, welcome to Steven Universe, the show where we talk about the universe of Steven Universe. I'm your host, Victor Frost. First things first, the news. Oh, where to begin? Alright, so first off, if you didn't already know, Volume 1 of the Steven Universe original graphic novel, titled Too Cool for School, is available for pre-order at nearly half price on Amazon. Produced by Jeremy Cerise, Ian Jones-Quartey, and Rebecca Sugar, the cover features Steven sitting behind Connie in a classroom, giving us the hope that we might finally see how Steven reacts to going to an actual school for the very first time. Bound to be an interesting comic. You guys should definitely put your pre-orders in and get ready for the hype. Next, the 2016 Toy Fair at the Jacob Javits Center in New York has wrapped up a little bit ago, and images have trickled out from a number of sources showing some new Steven Universe merch, including plushies, Garnet Smash Hands, a plush Cookie Cat ice cream sandwich, and a shield. I, however, am still waiting for an officially licensed cheeseburger backpack. I mean, seriously, Cartoon Network, it's literally the most obvious piece of merch ever. How have you not already done this? Friend of the show, Hell Universe, has recently put out the fan contribution special, Hell Universe, a hell of your own creation. It's very high quality, and really that's all I have to say about it. To see what you fellow fans have come up with, click the YouTube card up here, or click the link in the doobly-doo. Finally, this last one isn't so much news as it is a piece of advice from your friend Victor. If you haven't read the Steven Universe comics, I highly recommend you do so, but that's not the tip. That's a recommendation in general. The tip is that if you haven't read it because, for example, stores near you don't carry it, maybe you don't have a comic book store near you, or they're not or you don't live near Barnes & Noble or something like that, or maybe the price is just too much for you to justify spending, we've all been there, then you may want to check out your local public library. Now, I realize that not everybody has the advantage of living within the scope of a massive public library system like I do, for example, with the Los Angeles Public Library, but even smaller libraries, as well as the big ones, obviously, have made affiliations with online digital media rental services. Now, for example, the ones that my local library uses, LA Public Library, is called Overdrive and I think Hooper. But go and check out your library. Even if they don't have the physical copies of the comics, they may have access to one of those online systems that will let you read the comics on your computer, cell phone, or tablet. I caught up with a lot of the Steven Universe Steven Universe comics that way, and you should definitely check it out if you haven't read the comics. Even if they don't have Steven Universe, hey, they may have some other stuff you're interested in. It's always worth a look to check out your local public library. Now let's see what you folks have been up to. It's time for a review. Like many men in their late 20s, I enjoy spending time engaging in handicrafts. My friend Churba is a skilled woodworker and metalsmith. I enjoy making little drawstring pouches and miniature wood-burning stoves, among other things. And our friend Omar, already skilled at calligraphy, has recently taken up felting. Now, I can't say that I really understand how felting works. It seems to involve a lot of wool and lots of stabbing, but I will say that Ocha Drop's video on how to make a felt Cookie Cat plush is an incredibly well done instructional video. From start to finish, she walks us through the process of turning an assortment of colored wool into the iconic, discontinued frozen treat from the show. The production quality is very good, and each step is explained thoroughly with advice, tips, and tricks into making the best inedible edible you can make. So, what's the verdict? I'm gonna give it 5 out of 5 Stevens. If you're into felting, or even if you're not, this video is something you should definitely check out, because you might be itching to get your hands on some wool or some little stabby needles once you're done watching it, and give it a try yourself. To watch Ocho Drops' video, you can click the card up here or the link in the doobly-doo. Now it's time for us to look at Steven's birthday bomb and see what we learned. If you haven't yet seen the episodes, The Answer, Steven's Birthday, It Could Have Been Great, Message Received, and Log Date 7152, now's your chance to pause this video, go watch those, then come back. Don't worry, we'll wait. This is your spoiler alert. New episode, new lore. Let's see what we learned. So this episode is here mostly to take the time to bring up the new information that we learned from the show that wasn't really the focus of the episodes. Most of it comes in the form of insights gleaned from the little things the characters do or say, but some of them are also questions that came to my mind at certain points in watching the show. Because these are pretty scattered and don't really connect in any significant way, I thought I'd just give it to you in the form of a list, because we're the internet, and we love lists. The very first piece of information we get is from Garnet, who tells us that it's been 5,750 years since Ruby and Sapphire first fused into Garnet. We also learned that fusion can happen by accident, which calls to question the spiel Garnet gave Greg about fusion requiring trust. Steven now has a definitive age of 14. More details related to time. I love it. This, however, means that he is going to be learning to drive in a couple of years. I can't imagine Greg giving up his van, which means Steven will be needing a car. What kind of car do you think Steven would want? Hash it out in the comments. Personally, I think he'd love a little classic Volkswagen Beetle. Greg says that he first met the Gems when he was 22. This jives with my estimate that he's at least 50. And if he stopped touring right when he met them, it puts his age at 52. He's probably a little older though, which would mean that he and Rose had Steven when he was in his late 30s to early 40s. Also, Greg cleaned his van. I mean, all that junk probably migrated into his now clean storage unit, but hey, a clean van is a plus, no matter how it got that way. The flexibility of Steven's biology is also kinda brought into question in this episode. Unlike in other occurrences of Steven's shapeshifting, his body completely changed in almost every way. But most importantly, his brain changed size. Yet through that, he was able to change back to his original form and retain his memories of the entire experience. This might suggest that Steven's consciousness does not take place in his brain, but in his gem. I am really hoping that Dr. Maheshwaran takes an X-ray or an MRI of Steven one day. These are answers we need to know. Greg pulls out a record at the party that looks oddly familiar. Does Garnet lead a second double life? Maybe, maybe not, but Ronaldo seemed to think so in the comics. Connie's knowledge of taxonomy and etymology is evidently not as good as her knowledge of the reproductive cycle. She starts naming the constellation with Canis for dog, which is the taxonomical genus for all dogs. All taxonomical names are done in Latin and Greek, so what's the problem? Well, dogcopter is short for dog helicopter. Helicopter means spinning wing, but that's the modern English word for it. The actual word comes from the French Hélicoptère, but that's French, not Greek or Latin. Well, like all the Romance languages, French comes from Latin, which itself comes from ancient Greek. So dogcopter wouldn't be Canis-Helicopterus, it would be Canis-Helicopterus. Canis, Latin for dog, helio from the Greek helix, and pteris from the Greek word for wing, pteron, as in pterodactyl. So close, but no cigar. It's further cemented here that Greg was Steven's primary caregiver in his early years. Go dads. Also, Amethyst as a car seat is kinda hilarious to me. And when did Greg get a second row bench? I mean, he pretty much never had that before. It's new. Steven gets his first facial hair, but sadly it doesn't survive past the end of the episode. Seems the animators decided not to update the character model. And more dad points to Greg for being so excited about it. We learn from Peridot calling out the notes and the chords Steven plays that she apparently has perfect pitch. Peridot's explanation for why making music is fun basically boils down to it's fun just because you feel like doing it, so you do. Her ponderings also reveal that she's not accustomed to life without set objectives. makes sense for a purpose-built being. The song Peace and Love on the Planet Earth is also Peridot's first song and her first ambidiegetic song. To learn more about ambidiegesis, hit the YouTube card up in the corner or click the link in the doobly-doo. This episode is the first time we've seen Lion use nested portals, which seems to amplify the speed of objects passing through them, as well as the overall possible range of the portal, let's call them tunnels. When Peridot says this,
"We're gems. We're a spacefaring race designed to conquer other worlds. Our physical forms adjust automatically to the gravity of any planetoid."
she's actually telling us something incredibly important and possibly physics-shattering about gems. They can increase, and by extension reduce, their mass at will. The moon has a lower gravity than the Earth, so in order for Amethyst to bounce the same way on the moon as she does on Earth, her body would need to increase its mass in order to be heavy enough to compensate for the reduced gravity. Now, we already know that the forms gems generate are, as Pearl says, like holograms, but with mass.
Nice mass.
I know.
So it's not outside the realm of possibility that they can do this, but the bigger question is how? If it's not some way of converting energy to mass, in which case, where is the energy coming from, or collecting mass from somewhere, then it would be in violation of the law of conservation of mass. I wonder what the first astronomers like Galileo thought when they looked up at the moon and saw a pre-existing structure. Is anybody questioning the fact that the very important gem computer used by the Diamonds, holding important information about the plans for the restructuring of Earth, didn't have a password? Either this is evidence that the boundaries created by the hierarchical nature of gem society was so strong that it was utterly unnecessary, or that maybe the Diamonds just had really shitty security policies. The map seems to indicate that the tectonic plates on Earth have different boundaries than we know. A bit of Africa went with South America, Australia is quite broken, and there seems to have been some sort of massive impact crater in what would be Russia and China. In short, the Earth is a very different place than we know, and with the geography being as different as it is, I wonder whether the world wars even happened. Once the series progresses further, I need to do an episode about the parallels between the reverence for the Diamonds and religion. Car front doors don't typically have child safety locks. Also, Steven needs to watch some of the other Cartoon Network shows.
You're up against one of the Earth's greatest traffic technologies, the child safety lock.
Actually, you know what? What the? How?
You lock cars to stop people from getting in, not getting out.
Oh, yeah.
Invisible rotary shield means the truck had hand-cranked windows, not power windows. While this isn't the first time we've seen Amethyst turn into a mechanical device, see Dogcopter, where the hell was Amethyst Copter when they were chasing Peridot before? What is supporting those arms if there's enough room in them for her to crawl through? Since this is the first time we're seeing a Pearl that's verified to be a Pearl by a character, this is the first time we know for sure that gems of the same type can look different. This motion Peridot is doing with her hands is not the first time we've seen it done. In fact, Steven's been doing it for a while now. Where did he learn it? The Earth, understandably, seems to be a bit of a sore spot for Yellow Diamond. I still couldn't tell you what the hell is up with people's eyes in this show. I was very much the same way towards the end of 31 Days of Terminator. And that's it. Good to get that monkey off my back. Alrighty then, next time you see me will be when I do a Undertale Let's Play. I'm doing another part of that. No, I haven't forgotten that I've been doing it. It's just that I kind of decided that this needed to get out before I put up more episodes of that. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and you guys will see me next time on Victor Plays Undertale. Also, I might start doing Victor Plays Dirt 2. Bye! So here we are in beautiful Santa Monica, California, though if you play Grand Theft Auto 5, you may know that a little bit better as Del Mar Pier, I think is what it's called. It's a bit of a windy day. This may not have been the best choice of locales. Anyway, so one of the first things we learned is that we now have a definitive date as to when the war was more or less happening. Storage unit. But hey, a clean van is a plus, no matter how it got that way. Also, you know what? This is just too windy in here. Let's pick this up back in the studio. This was kind of a bad idea. I got sand everywhere.